Amidst the vast ocean, where you can feel every gust of wind brushing against your skin, a gigantic fish factory continues to operate tirelessly, day and night. This is the life's work of Mr. John, a seasoned fisherman with over 30 years of experience at sea. He has devoted his entire career to researching and applying advanced technology to raise fish right in the middle of the ocean. This isn't just an ordinary fishing vessel, it's an offshore aquaculture system equipped with massive circular cages, each the size of a football field. The question is, how does Mr. John manage to control millions of fish in such a vast, open space? Stay with us until the end of today's video to uncover how this gigantic fish factory operates amid the endless blue sea. Few people realize that the performance of an offshore fish farm isn't determined solely by the equipment, but by where the cages are placed. According to Mr. John, the farming site must meet two critical criteria. It must be far enough from shore to avoid land-based pollution, and located within strong ocean currents to ensure constant water flow that brings oxygen and carries away waste. To achieve this, he works with a team of experts who use survey vessels, sonar scanners, and GPS systems to record data such as water depth, current speed, and wind direction. Every piece of information is logged and updated daily to determine the optimal location for the entire system. Unlike nearshore setups, each of Mr. John's offshore cages is massive, spanning tens of meters in diameter and constructed from ultra-durable steel frames. They're specially designed to resist corrosion and withstand waves up to 10 meters high, a crucial requirement for anyone investing in open ocean aquaculture. Once the location and materials are chosen, the cages are transported offshore using specialized ships. Each component is carefully lowered into the water and assembled on site. This process requires seamless coordination between deck engineers and divers to ensure every joint is secure and every net tightly fastened. Even the smallest gap could become an escape route for thousands of fish, or worse, the entire cage could be swept away by rough seas. A single unexpected storm could undo weeks of installation work in just a few hours. Once everything is set up, batches of juvenile fish are transported from the shore to this ocean farm, kept under strict temperature and oxygen control to prevent stress. From that point onward, the entire farming process, nurturing hundreds of thousands of fish, becomes almost fully automated. Using underwater sensors, Mr. John and his team can monitor the entire operation remotely. The data is transmitted hourly to a control center on land, allowing them to take quick action when necessary, such as activating aeration systems when oxygen levels drop, tracking fish feeding behavior, or adjusting feed schedules to prevent overfeeding. Feeding, in particular, is one of the most crucial aspects. Each day, workers handle large sacks of specially formulated pellets, low in fine powder, rich in essential nutrients like protein, vitamins, fatty acids, digestive enzymes, and immune boosters. The feed is poured into automated dispensers programmed to release it in short intervals, typically every 5 to 10 minutes. Each day, Mr. John maintains a feed rate of 0.8% to 2.5% of the total fish biomass, ensuring steady and healthy growth. When asked about challenges in offshore aquaculture, Mr. John chuckled as he recalled one unforgettable night when a strong wind caused a section of the net, about 2 to 3 meters wide, to tear open. It was around November last year when his night shift crew detected the damage just as waves were pounding the site. That small tear was enough for dozens of fish to slip out into the open sea. Realizing the urgency, Mr. John immediately split the crew into two teams. One team dove underwater to assess the damage and temporarily secure the area, while the other stayed on deck preparing spare nets and patching tools. After nearly an hour of tense work, the situation was brought under control. Since then, he's emphasized the importance of routine inspection, at least once or twice a week, especially after storms. Regular maintenance of nets and frames is vital to prevent such emergencies from recurring. When the fish reach market size, workers use guiding nets to herd them into the harvest zone. The fish are then gently pumped onto the deck through seawater-filled hoses to reduce stress. On board, they're quickly sorted, chilled, and transported back to land for processing. At the processing plant, the fish are cleaned, filleted, vacuum-packed, or deep-frozen, ready for export or domestic distribution. Thanks to Mr. John's meticulously engineered system, his fish grow faster, stay healthier, and require lower operational costs, all while maintaining a clean, sustainable marine environment. Being located in the heart of the open ocean, Mr. John's Fish Factory has faced its share of brutal challenges from Mother Nature, especially sudden storms that give no warning. Towering waves, higher than the vessel itself, often come crashing down with fierce winds that batter the entire system. That's why Mr. John constantly tracks weather forecasts. At the first sign of abnormal conditions, he initiates a series of preventive measures, retracting feeding systems, reinforcing moorings, and securing cage frames. Even with thorough preparation, some degree of damage is unavoidable. Torn nets, loose anchors, and escaped fish are all part of the job. But for Mr. John, this is simply the rule of the sea. Every fisherman must learn to live with it. If handled wisely, however, the ocean always offers its reward, a sustainable, high-value harvest from nature itself. It's truly remarkable to witness a fully functioning production line right in the middle of the sea, where the hum of machinery blends with the rhythm of crashing waves. Mr. John's Open Ocean Fish Factory stands as a shining example of a sustainable path for the fishing industry, easing pressure on natural stocks while still providing high-quality seafood. Have you ever seen a fish that looks as ugly as this one? At first glance, it looks like a giant toadfish with a head many times larger than its tail. In Vietnam, this species is almost never seen, as it lives deep on the ocean floor and in cold water regions. But in Japan, there's even a traditional festival dedicated to demonstrating how monkfish are prepared. So today, join us as we explore one of the ugliest fish in the ocean and see how Japanese fishermen catch and process them. Monkfish typically live at depths ranging from 600 to 200 meters. Japanese fishermen believe that monkfish from the cold northern waters of the Sea of Japan have the firmest texture and the best flavor. Although they are caught in various regions, the peak season usually runs from late autumn around November through early spring. Currently, Aomori Prefecture has the highest monkfish catch volume in Japan. Most Japanese fishermen catch monkfish using bottom trawl nets, bottom set gill nets, and scallop dredge nets. These types of gear not only effectively catch monkfish but also harvest other bottom-dwelling species such as flounder. In Casamora village, fixed gill nets are considered the standard method for catching monkfish. Because the village is located near key fishing grounds just 2 to 3 kilometers from the port, and with depths reaching 70 meters, it's possible to catch a large number of monkfish. Nets are set along the known pathways of the fish, typically 4 to 5 kilometers offshore, and monkfish that get caught are later hauled aboard. In this village, monkfish are caught on the same day the nets are deployed, allowing fresh fish products to be supplied to meet local consumption demand. Fishermen use hydraulic winches to pull the nets onto the boat and remove the fish. The catch is sorted and preserved on board to maintain freshness before being transported back to port. In addition to net fishing, Japanese fishermen also harvest monkfish using long lines. This is considered a traditional method that has been practiced in Japan for over 100 years. Fishermen use a 100-meter-long line equipped with hooks, which is lowered to the seafloor and left in place while they wait for fish to bite. Since monkfish do not actively chase bait, fishermen use hooks rather than bait to catch them. After being brought back to port, monkfish are typically sold and consumed on the same day to preserve their freshness. They are mainly prepared in restaurants or seafood markets, where consumers can choose how they'd like them served. Only experienced chefs are usually able to handle monkfish with ease, because their slimy skin makes them impossible to process like ordinary fish. Chefs need to hang the fish on a hook and use sharp tools to separate the skin and internal organs. Almost every part of the monkfish can be used for cooking except for the eyes. After processing, each part is separated and prepared for the next steps in cooking. Although monkfish may appear unattractive, it is still considered a premium fish and is highly valued by the Japanese for its flavor, texture, and versatility. Its meat is light and tender, and while the skin may not look appealing, it is rich in collagen. Many Japanese people say that monkfish meat is soft and sweet, similar to lobster tail, which is why it's so popular and has even become part of a unique culinary tradition. In the village of Kazumura in Aomori Prefecture, monkfish are processed using an upside-down hanging method, a practice regarded as a local tradition. Perhaps because of its strong cultural ties to the region, monkfish caught here are sold under the name Kazumura Anku, which means monkfish from Kazumura village. Also due to local traditions, from December to March each year, the entire village gathers to take part in the Anku festival. This is a special time of year when villagers perform the traditional monkfish cutting ritual right on the snow. After that, the fresh fish is prepared and cooked into a complete, exquisite meal served only during the festival. No part of the monkfish goes to waste. Its meat is used in a variety of dishes, including hot pots, sashimi, and miso-marinated liver. The liver of this fish is often referred to as the foie gras of the sea for its incredibly rich flavor. For a long time, the Japanese have been known for their love of tuna. In fact, Japan is considered the world's largest consumer of tuna, with over 450,000 tons consumed annually. Bluefin tuna, especially the massive ones weighing over 100 kilograms, are particularly prized in Japanese cuisine. However, tuna meat is highly sensitive. Its color and flavor can change easily due to the long process of fishing and transportation. So how do the Japanese manage to keep thousands of bluefin tuna fresh to meet their culinary demands? Let's find out right now. In recent years, Japan has adopted cutting-edge technology to freeze tuna while still preserving its freshness, a method often referred to as Royal-style freezing. When a large bluefin tuna is caught, the crew on board immediately processes the fish and freezes it at -60 degrees Celsius. At this ultra-low temperature, protein degradation and fat oxidation are almost completely halted, and microbial activity is essentially stopped. This allows the tuna to remain fresh and flavorful, even during long-distance transportation. So how exactly is the freezing and processing of thousands of tons of tuna carried out? It all begins with commercial fishing vessels heading out into the Pacific Ocean to harvest tuna. The most widely used method by Japanese fishermen for catching tuna is longline fishing, a technique highly effective for catching bluefin, yellowfin, and big-eye tuna. This method also forms the foundation of Japan's commercial tuna fishing industry. Large fishing vessels are fully equipped with onboard facilities and gear to support extended trips, which can sometimes last for weeks at a time. These vessels deploy long fishing lines that can cover vast areas of open ocean. The lines are made from durable materials designed to withstand strong tension and harsh marine conditions. A single long line may contain multiple branch lines, spaced 30 to 50 meters apart, with each one attached to a baited hook. The long lines are slowly released from the vessel, allowing the baited hooks to spread across a wide area to increase the chances of attracting tuna. After several hours, the crew activates mechanical equipment to haul the lines back onto the vessel. Tuna that have taken the bait are brought aboard and immediately processed, as their meat can spoil quickly if not handled right away. On board, the crew removes the blood, internal organs, and gills to reduce bacterial growth and help preserve the quality of the tuna meat. The fish are then cleaned and placed into rapid freezing compartments on the ship, kept at extremely low temperatures of around -60 degrees Celsius, where they remain until the vessel returns to port. tuna caught at sea are stored in the vessel's freezers, with each large ship capable of holding up to 300 tons of frozen tuna. When the fishing vessels return to port after months at sea, cranes are used to lift each tuna off the ship and unload them onto the dock. Here, the tuna are sorted by species and size. The most critical task at this stage is to sort the frozen tuna quickly and carefully to prevent them from thawing. Once sorted, the tuna are loaded onto trucks at the port and transported to ultra-low temperature storage facilities, where the temperature is maintained at -70 degrees Celsius. When the tuna arrive at the processing plants, skilled artisans handle them with speed and precision. These are all wild-caught bluefin tuna, each weighing over 200 kilograms using tools like bandsaws. The workers carefully process each cut of meat to meet specific customer demands. Frozen tuna is extremely difficult to handle. First, when moving the fish, improper handling can damage the meat and lower its quality. To transport a bluefin tuna weighing over 100 kilograms, workers are only allowed to touch the gill area, taking great care not to bruise or tear the flesh. Additionally, even a slight increase in temperature can cause the meat to soften and lose freshness. That's why the entire process must be carried out quickly, and the processing plant is kept at a consistently low temperature throughout. Once cut into blocks, the frozen tuna meat is packed and distributed to consumer markets. Processed tuna is delivered to restaurants and large retail chains across Japan. If you live in Japan, you can easily find packaged tuna products in grocery stores and supermarkets. Today, the production of bluefin and yellowfin tuna continues to increase year by year. While much of it is used for canned goods and other processed products, the rise of ultra-freezing technology has made it possible for this tuna to be served as sashimi or sushi stock, two of the most beloved dishes in Japanese cuisine.
Dear God, please let me catch this fish.
Alaska is considered one of the world's largest seafood hubs, with year-round fishing activities. Among the many techniques used in these waters, longline fishing stands out as one of the most traditional and effective, especially for catching large bottom-dwelling species like the giant halibut. Today, join us aboard real fishing vessels in Alaska as we witness how local fishermen manage to haul in over half a ton of fish in just a single day. Longline fishing in Alaska is a vital part of the state's commercial fishing industry. It targets high-value species such as halibut, black cod, Pacific cod, and rockfish. This method is practiced all year round across Alaskan waters and is known for its high efficiency and selectivity. So how exactly does longline fishing work? Let's dive in. Longline fishing is a commercial fishing method that uses hundreds, even thousands of baited hooks suspended along a single line that can stretch 50 to 100 kilometers in length. Unlike rod and reel fishing, this method requires a much longer wait, with fish often being hauled in hours or even days later. The bait typically consists of fish like herring, squid, or pollock, which are attached to each hook and lowered into the water. These hooks trail slowly behind the fishing vessel, drifting near the ocean floor to attract bottom-dwelling species. To help track and recover the line, floating buoys are attached roughly every 50 meters. After letting the line sit for a few hours, fishermen begin retrieving it, often revealing surprisingly massive catches. We're witnessing these fishermen haul in a giant halibut, a premium fish species with high demand both domestically and internationally. Halibut typically dwell near the seafloor in coastal and offshore waters, and they're easily attracted to baited hooks. As you can see, longline fishing proves highly effective. In just one day, a single fishing vessel can harvest dozens of giant halibut. Each halibut is processed on the spot. The fishermen gut the fish and store them in onboard freezers to preserve freshness and quality immediately after the catch. In addition to targeting halibut, Alaskan fishermen also catch large quantities of cod using longline fishing, especially black cod, which are prized for their size and rich flavor. This species holds significant export value and contributes substantially to Alaska's seafood export industry. Many large fishing vessels are even equipped with onboard processing lines to ensure top-quality handling for export. A major portion of Alaska's longline catch is exported, with key markets including Japan, China, and Europe. Longline fishing is so prevalent in Alaska that local fishermen have established the Alaska Longline Fishermen's Association. This organization was created to promote sustainable fishing practices and also advocates for job creation for both fishermen and association members. In recent years, the longline fishing industry has contributed billions of dollars to Alaska's economy, generating thousands of jobs in fishing, processing, and related sectors. For many Alaskan communities, especially indigenous groups, fishing is more than just a livelihood. It's a way of life, helping preserve cultural traditions and support long-term survival. To ensure sustainability, Alaska's longline fishery employs bycatch reduction tools such as circle hooks and longer main lines to minimize interaction with non-target species like seabirds and sharks. The gear is also designed to minimize disturbance to the seafloor, especially in sensitive habitats such as coral reefs and sponge beds. Additionally, fishing areas are rotated regularly to allow fish populations time to recover. Today, longline fishing is widely practiced in commercial fisheries around the world, targeting a variety of marine species. However, alongside large-scale harvests, there's an increasing need to protect fish populations, ensuring that longline fishing remains a viable industry for the future. Have you ever seen fishermen using helicopters to catch fish out at sea? Sounds unbelievable, right? But it's true in certain parts of Europe and the US. Some commercial fishing vessels are now using advanced technology and helicopters to help them catch massive numbers of bluefin tuna more efficiently than ever before. So, right now, let's dive in and explore how fishermen are using helicopters in the high-stakes world of bluefin tuna fishing. The use of helicopters for bluefin tuna fishing takes place in parts of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Although this practice is restricted in many territorial waters, it's still commonly used in some U.S. states due to its high efficiency. Commercial fishing vessels will hire helicopters to work alongside them during offshore trips, with the main task of spotting schools of bluefin tuna from the air. Because tuna is a highly valued and widely consumed fish around the world, the use of expensive helicopters is considered cost-effective for commercial purse-seine tuna fishing operations. Helicopters are extremely useful in spotting tuna because these fish often travel in large schools while feeding. Typically, the helicopter takes off early in the morning and spends several hours in the air before landing back on the vessel overnight. The most commonly used helicopters for this type of fishing are the R-22, Bell 206, and MD-500. While airborne, the pilot and observer use the helicopter's speed and altitude to scan for signs of tuna schools. Once a school is located, the observers assess whether it's large enough to justify a catch. If it is, the pilot immediately radios the fishing vessel, directing it to the coordinates where the tuna were spotted. Today, these vessels are equipped with GPS systems that sync with the helicopter's GPS, allowing them to navigate quickly and accurately to the target location. At this point, the fishing vessels spring into action. You'll often see small boats equipped with large nets surrounding the school of tuna, while the helicopter continues to coordinate from above, helping to herd the fish and prevent them from escaping the net until it's fully closed. Once the net is sealed, the main vessel activates its advanced equipment to begin hauling it in, and the tuna harvesting process begins. One by one, the fish are brought out of the ocean and stored in specialized compartments chilled to around -3 degrees Celsius. At this temperature, the tuna die almost instantly, but their freshness is preserved for maximum quality. Most commercial tuna vessels can hold up to 1,000 tons of catch, and typically won't return to port until the storage holds are completely full. These fishing trips usually last anywhere from 2 weeks to over 2 months, depending on the haul size. However, flying over open waters comes with many challenges. Helicopter crews must spend long periods away from home, often living in harsh offshore conditions for months at a time. Taking off and landing on a moving platform at sea presents serious risks, ones that many pilots may have never encountered before. Rough waves and small landing pads make landing on vessels extremely difficult. On top of that, operating in a marine environment puts stress on the aircraft itself. Salt water, humidity, and constant movement can cause equipment to malfunction. That's why helicopters must undergo frequent maintenance. Typically, each helicopter logs 250 to 300 flight hours during a single offshore fishing trip, making routine inspections and upkeep critical to prevent unexpected failures. With such high costs, many people might wonder, why not just use drones instead of helicopters to save money? While drones are certainly convenient, they can't operate for extended hours over the open ocean. Even more limiting is their restricted range from control equipment, making them unsuitable for covering large areas. Because of these limitations, drones are rarely used in commercial fishing operations. Instead, they're mostly used for sport and recreational fishing, where range and endurance are less critical. In commercial tuna fishing, the use of helicopters has proven to be relatively effective. It helps reduce the time and fuel spent locating tuna schools, and allows for more targeted fishing, minimizing bycatch. This increases the success rate of each trip and improves overall profitability. However, this method is not without controversy. Helicopter operations come with high costs, including maintenance, equipment, and crew salaries. And because of their efficiency, there's also the risk of overfishing, which can place unsustainable pressure on tuna populations. Due to these concerns, regions that allow the use of helicopters for tuna fishing are required to operate under strict quotas to help prevent overexploitation. After being caught, bluefin tuna are transported to processing plants, where they are turned into fresh meat products or canned tuna for the consumer market. In addition, a large portion of the bluefin tuna harvested and processed in the U.S. is exported to Asian markets. Currently, the largest consumer of bluefin tuna in the world is Japan. Due to the high demand, the country imports thousands of tons of frozen or whole tuna every year. The fish is mainly prepared as traditional Japanese dishes like sushi and sashimi. Today, around the world, there are many cultures and traditions that have existed for thousands of years within communities, some of which are valuable and worth preserving, while others have sparked controversy and criticism. One such tradition is whaling in the Faroe Islands, which has been practiced for over 1,000 years and continues to stir heated debate. Today, we invite you to join us in exploring this long-standing whaling tradition of the Faroe Islands. Every year, usually in July and August, hundreds of pilot whales and other small marine mammals are hunted by residents of the Faroe Islands for their meat and blubber. In past decades, people on the islands have caught an average of 838 pilot whales and 75 dolphins per year. In recent years, animal rights and wildlife conservation organizations have strongly condemned this hunt. While the tradition has not been completely stopped, the growing criticism has helped reduce the number of whales being hunted annually. The Faroe Islands are a small self-governing territory under the Kingdom of Denmark, located in the far North Atlantic. The local authorities argue that the whale hunt is an integral part of Faroese cultural tradition and serves as a valuable food source for island residents. This practice dates back over 1,200 years, originating from the time of the first Viking settlers. The whale hunting method used in the Faroe Islands differs from that of many other regions, and to those who witness it, it is often seen as brutal and disturbing. When a pod of whales is spotted near the islands, local men set out in their boats to surround them. By creating loud noises to frighten the whales, the hunters gradually drive them into a shallow bay or fjord where they become trapped. It is there that the whales are killed and harvested for meat. Many whales are hunted with harpoons if they attempt to escape the encirclement. The harpoons are thrown into their bodies, and the whales are then dragged ashore with ropes. Once on land, the whales are lined up along the harbor, where they are butchered by hunters and local families. Each hunter and family receives a share of the meat and blubber, distributed by the district sheriff according to a traditional formula. A single portion is typically enough to feed a family for several days. Although the hunt is officially considered non-commercial, some portions of whale meat are sold to local restaurants and hotels to serve tourists who are curious to taste it. Whale meat is considered an important part of the local cuisine in the Faroe Islands. As the islands are not well suited for agriculture, the production of grains and vegetables is extremely limited. In such conditions, whale meat and blubber have long served as vital sources of protein and fat. Every part of the whale is used, from the meat for consumption to the blubber for fuel oil. Whaling is not only a means of survival but also a symbol of the Faroese people's resilience and self-reliance. It reflects a strength reminiscent of Viking warriors from thousands of years ago. Although considered a cultural tradition, whale hunting in the Faroe Islands has faced strong condemnation due to its brutal methods and graphic scenes. Moreover, these practices directly disrupt the marine ecosystem by contributing to the decline of whale populations. Consuming whale meat is also not without risk, as it contains high levels of mercury and other toxins, raising serious health concerns especially for children and pregnant women. Today, whale hunts still take place annually in the Faroe Islands, and many locals firmly believe that pilot whale hunting should be preserved as an institution of their traditional culture. They argue that foreign criticism of the practice shows a lack of respect for the Faroese people and represents an unwelcome interference in the internal affairs of the territory. Although whale hunting still takes place, the practice has been modified to meet modern legal and social standards. The Faroe Islands authorities now strictly regulate whale hunts, ensuring that only licensed individuals may participate, and that all activities follow established quotas. Those involved must use specialized equipment and undergo training to ensure the hunt is carried out as humanely as possible. Nevertheless, whale hunting in the Faroe Islands faces increasing pressure and the threat of being phased out if a balance cannot be struck between cultural heritage and global ethical standards. Younger generations of Faroese people are showing a growing preference for sustainability over tradition, suggesting that this practice may not be passed down much longer. We are witnessing a massive vessel setting out to sea in Japan, clearly not an ordinary fishing boat, especially given its haul of nearly 10 tons of marine catch. That's right, it's a specialized whaling ship, designed specifically to harvest fin whales weighing up to 70 tons and capable of storing up to 700 tons of whale meat at once. Each voyage allows the vessel to operate at sea for extended periods, catching and processing giant whales directly on board. So right now, let's explore how Japanese fishermen process these massive whales right out on the open sea. To hunt these giant whales, Japanese fishermen need to use large vessels weighing over 8,000 tons, staffed by dozens of crew members responsible for locating, capturing, and processing the whales. These ships can operate more than 13,000 kilometers across the ocean over several months. The Japanese refer to the main vessel as the mother ship, which carries out the core operations, supported by smaller whaling boats that assist in the hunt. Out on the vast ocean, the mother ship locates whale pods using sonar or GPS technology, with visual confirmation provided by the experienced crew. The sailors use harpoons equipped with explosives to subdue or kill the whales instantly. Hunters aim for vital areas like the chest to ensure a swift death and minimize suffering. Once a whale has been caught, it is hauled onto the mother ship, where it is processed directly at sea. After being hauled aboard the mother ship, the crew begins the whale meat processing procedure. First, the thick outer layer of blubber and skin is removed using large knives and heavy machinery. The whale's body is then cut into sections to make it easier to handle. These meat sections are moved along conveyor belts, preparing them for the next stages of processing. The meat is sliced into smaller portions, immediately packaged and flash frozen to preserve freshness during the entire voyage. Higher quality cuts are typically reserved for premium markets or export. The whale blubber is processed into oil, which is often used for industrial purposes. Processing the whale directly on board not only reduces transport volume but also makes preservation more efficient. Whale bones are usually ground down or discarded after the meat is removed, and most internal organs are thrown back into the ocean to feed marine life, saving time on waste handling compared to land-based processing plants. When the whaling vessels accumulate between 300 to 500 tons of whale meat, they return to port to supply whale products to major supermarkets and stores. For a long time, whale hunting has faced global criticism, as it is considered inhumane and cruel, especially since whales are protected species around the world. In fact, since 1982, the International Whaling Commission has implemented a ban on commercial whaling. However, Japan has opposed this ban and continues to carry out annual whale hunts. So why does Japan still hunt whales despite the international ban? Currently, the Japanese government maintains that whaling in Japan is a part of the country's cultural tradition. Since the 17th century, the Japanese have developed whaling techniques. Beyond the main purpose of using whale meat as food, the Japanese also used whale blubber to produce oil for lighting and soap, and processed whale organs into fertilizer. By 1945, after the end of World War II, Japan faced a severe food crisis. At that time, whale meat became a crucial food source that helped save millions of Japanese people from starvation. A single giant whale could provide tens of tons of meat, making it one of the most heavily hunted species during that period. Although over 90% of Japanese people today say they rarely eat whale meat, and many younger generations have never tasted it at all, the country's whaling output has significantly declined compared to the past. Despite growing opposition to Japan's whaling industry and international calls for a complete ban, conservative voices still argue that whaling is a long-standing cultural tradition that should be preserved. Moreover, the Japanese government often claims that their whaling activities are primarily for scientific research. But regardless of the stated purpose, Japan's continued whale hunts are pushing the populations of these giant marine mammals closer to extinction. beluga whales have long been considered one of the world's rarest marine species, admired for their distinctive beauty. They are highly intelligent and are often thought to be the whale species most closely connected to humans. Yet, this rare and majestic creature also serves as a vital food source for indigenous communities across Canada and the Arctic. Every year, hundreds of belugas are hunted primarily using traditional methods as part of the effort to sustain local livelihoods. So today, let's explore how Alaskan hunters carry out the time-honored practice of capturing beluga whales. In the icy reaches of the far north where the sun disappears for months at a time and the landscape is buried under snow and ice, the Inuit people, indigenous groups living across Canada, Greenland, and Alaska, have survived for centuries by living in harmony with the harsh environment. In their cultural heritage, hunting belugas is not just a means of survival, but also a sacred ritual. Each summer, as the ice begins to melt, pods of beluga whales swim upriver to spawn. This is the moment when the Inuit prepare for what they consider a sacred journey, the traditional beluga whale hunt. Before setting out, the entire community takes part in preparations. Elder men share their knowledge with the younger generation, from reading water currents and identifying the whale's direction of movement, to mastering the use of harpoons and navigating boats. The women prepare waterproof clothing, preserve food, and set up areas for butchering and processing the whale meat. The hunt is never taken lightly. The Inuit believe that the beluga is a spirit of the ocean, and that only through respect and humility will nature offer its gift. The journey often begins with ancient songs, prayers to the wind, and ceremonies calling upon ancestral spirits for guidance and protection. The tools of the hunt typically include motorboats or engine-powered canoes, allowing for safer travel across the cold, ice-covered waters. However, even with motorized transport, indigenous hunters are only allowed to harvest belugas using traditional methods, specifically with harpoons. These tools are often crafted from bone and stone, and nowadays combined with modern materials like metal. In some regions, communities still uphold the old tradition of forbidding engines altogether out of respect for the spirit of the ocean. There, hunters paddle their boats by hand, carefully weaving through drifting ice, just as their ancestors once did. The beluga whale hunting season typically takes place between June and August. When rivers like the Mackenzie in Canada or the waters around Point Hope in Alaska begin to thaw, massive pods of beluga whales start their migration, creating striking silver-white waves across the deep blue sea. The Inuit often set up ambush points near river mouths, where the narrowed water flow makes it easier to approach the whales. Upon spotting a pod, the hunters don't rush. Instead, they paddle quietly, observing the sea, reading the wind, and watching every subtle movement of the whales. Each strike is carefully calculated. A harpoon must be thrown with precision, aimed at the whale's head or gill area to ensure a swift and humane death. This minimizes suffering for the whale and reduces the risk for the hunters, who operate in close proximity to the powerful animals. When a beluga is successfully caught, it's towed back to shore using human strength in small boats connected by ropes. The entire community comes out to greet the returning hunters. Cheers erupt, Inuit drums beat, and traditional songs fill the air, all as a way to thank the spirits and honor the ocean's gift. Each beluga whale can weigh anywhere from 500 to 1,500 kilograms, and every part of the animal is used to its fullest. The meat is divided among families, with priority given to elders and young children. The whale oil is used for cooking, lighting, and traditional medicine. Even the remaining parts that aren't consumed by people are often used as dog food. Nothing goes to waste. In the small northern villages where winters are long and food is scarce, a single beluga whale can sustain an entire community for weeks. Moreover, beluga whale meat is highly nutritious, rich in protein, fat, and packed with energy essential for the Inuit during the harsh Arctic winters, where temperatures can plunge as low as -40 degrees Celsius. In contrast, imported packaged foods are often expensive, difficult to store, and lack the same nutritional value as whale meat. That's why many Inuit believe that eating muktuk and meat beluga whale helps their bodies adapt better to the Arctic climate, something industrial foods simply can't offer. In addition to hunting beluga whales, the Inuit also hunt other whale species such as gray whales and bowhead whales for food. Each year, they harvest dozens of whales to meet the dietary needs of their communities. These hunts are sustenance-based, not commercial, aimed at preserving a way of life rather than generating profit.